Anxiety, 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 anxiety. Anxiety made my life a nightmare. It freaked me out that I couldn't find a cure back then. I thought something is wrong with my lungs. And now I feel like I have to share everything I know to help at least one person. So it's going to be a long video. I'm sharing the exact steps, breathing techniques, questions from therapy, habits, and a bonus tip. I hope that at the end of this video, you'll have all the tools to take back control. Come on in, all the anxious witches and wizards. Welcome and take your soft seats. I'm Professor Sophie, your guide to practical magic here at Hogwarts. I'm here to help you deal with everyday muggle problems and teach you spells to live softer and happier lives. Before we begin, please leave me one comment below to help me find those Death Eater algorithms. It will help me make more videos for you. I'm still collecting money for my fireplace and we are running right now on candles and imagination. So wrap yourself in a cozy blanket and soon your cups will fill with something warm. Ready? Let's begin! I've chosen this topic for today's class because Novembers can often feel really gloomy. We want to feel light, maybe get into the Christmas mood, or just enjoy the quiet beauty of winter, but instead anxiety shows up and ruins the mood. 2023 was a rough year for me with anxiety. Back then, things really piled up. One of my family members' lives was at risk, and I was abroad, completely alone, no family, no friends nearby. Even my husband was away on work trip for 3 months. I had been without a stable job for over a year, just endless interviews and test tasks. And when I finally got accepted somewhere, I hated it. I hated it because it was boring, but also it was really demanding. Like it was meant for a senior, but I was just a junior. And it drained me. But I couldn't quit because, well, bills don't pay themselves. All the stress triggered my anxiety full force. My nights were the worst. I couldn't fall asleep until 5 a.m. and I think even the portraits at Hogwarts would got bored watching me toss and turn. And when I did finally fall asleep, it was restless, anxious sleep. And then, 2 hours later, I had to get up and drag myself to a job I didn't even want. My heart was racing constantly, which scared me, and that fear of my own heartbeat would trigger panic attacks. I'm still feeling a bit uneasy when I hear heartbeat sounds. Even old fears like being afraid of the dark came back, and I started to fall asleep with my light on. The worst part that it felt like I was trapped in a body that just wouldn't let me rest. And now I still get anxiety sometimes, but it's smaller and I can meet it calmly because I know I have tools to handle it. And that's exactly what I want to share with you today. After living through all that, I started noticing that my anxiety wasn't always the same. Sometimes it actually helped me, but other times it completely took over. That's when I realized that anxiety has 2 different faces. Think of Professor Quirrell in Harry Potter. On the front, you see a nervous, twitchy man who, despite the shatter, still teaches classes, walks around Hogwarts. That's functional anxiety, sometimes called adaptive anxiety. It's the part of anxiety that gives you energy before exam, that sharpens your focus in an interview, or pushes you to iron that shirt at midnight before the big presentation. It's not comfortable, but it helps you rise to the occasion. And the interesting thing, being an anxious person can even have its perks. Yeah, it's hard to believe, but yes. You're often more careful and detail-oriented, noticing things others miss. You're usually more prepared. You've thought through scenarios, packed your bag, double-checked your notes. You tend to be empathetic because noticing danger and discomfort in yourself makes you sensitive to it in others. This one is so true. And you're often creative because your mind keeps spinning possibilities and connections. See? Even something that feels uncomfortable can give you superpowers. But then there is the other side, the one Quirrell hides under his turban. That's dysfunctional anxiety, the Voldemort side. When our brain keeps yelling danger, when all you have is harmless Zoom call. Voldemort level anxiety doesn't just make your heart race or your chest tight, it also hijacks your mind. It can even distort how you see the world. Researchers showed anxious people lots of faces with neutral expressions. And guess what? Anxious people were more likely to see those faces as angry or unfriendly, even though they were just neutral. It's a little like what happens to Kay in The Snow Queen. A tiny shard from the evil mirror gets in his eye and suddenly the roses look ugly and even Gerda seems distant. When that happens, we all wish a kind friend like Gerda would come and melt our frozen heart. Some people tried to be that Gerda for me. People who wanted to help me would try to calm me down by saying, calm down. Some would even say with all their rational brains, can you just look at this logically? And it wasn't helping at all. And that's when I started looking closely at what actually was happening in my brain and why rational thinking alone wasn't enough. So why calm down doesn't work? Here's why. You can show this part of the video to your friends or family who want to help you. There are two parts in our brain responsible for managing anxiety. The anxious part, the amygdala, a jumpy Hogwarts guard that sees shadows and shouts, "Troll in the dungeon!" And the calm, reasonable part, the prefrontal cortex, a wise Ravenclaw professor who says, relax, it's just the neighbor's cat. Nice to meet you. When Voldemort level of anxiety strikes the castle, the amygdala, our anxious guard, is so loud that it keeps shouting and panicking about every little shadow while the Ravenclaw professor can barely get a word in. Even if the professor knows it's safe, their calm voice gets drowned out until we calm down the amygdala. Over time, I discovered 3 of my favorite mind-calming spells that help me quiet the guard. Petrificus Totalus Release, Wingardium Leviosa Breathing, and Grounding Charm. Let's start with Petrificus Totalus Release, aka Progressive Muscle Relaxation. Have you heard about that body freezing spell in Harry Potter? Petrificus Totalus? That's basically what anxiety does to your muscles. It locks them up stiff and rigid as if you are preparing for a battle, when all you really have to do is just enter the classroom. Back in the 1920s, a clever healer named Edmund Jacobson invented a counter spell. Today we call it progressive muscle relaxation, but I prefer Petrificus Totalus Release. Here is how it works. You lie down comfortably, or if you can't, then just sit down and close your eyes. Tense each muscle group one by one on purpose and then release. Hands, arms, forehead, face, eyes, lips, neck, shoulders, stomach, buttocks, legs, feet. For example, if you want to tense your arm, just do this. If you want to tense your hands, do this. If you want to tense your shoulders, do this. And then release. And then try to tense your whole body at once and release. It might sound silly. Why would I make myself tighter if I'm already tense? But here is the trick. Anxiety often keeps you in an invisible permanent freeze. You don't even notice how tight everything is. And by exaggerating the tension and then letting it go, you teach your body how true relaxation feels like. Research shows this practice lowers anxiety levels, reduces symptoms like headaches, and overall you feel more in control of your body. You only need about 10 minutes. Think of it as a reset button. Wingardium Leviosa breathing, or aka box breathing 4444. Let's take out our wands for a moment. Remember the spell every first year learns, Wingardium Leviosa. the one that makes feathers float gently in the air. Today, we're going to practice it, but with our breath. Here's how. Inhale for 4 seconds. Imagine the feather rising higher and higher. Hold for 4 seconds. It hovers perfectly still, suspended in the air, and then exhale for 4 seconds. It drifts back down, soft as snow. Hold for 4 seconds. The feather rests on the table, ready for the next spell. And then we repeat. As we levitate our feathers, something else is happening. Your body shifts into calm. The parasympathetic nervous system, our natural rest and digest system, takes over. Heart rate slows, blood pressure drops, stress hormones melt away. And now I'm going to tell you about grounding term, aka grounding practice. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is actually my favorite exercise. When anxiety strikes, the mind often vanishes into the future. What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if the Dark Lord himself shows up during my Zoom call? But the truth is, you are not dueling Voldemort. You are here, safe, probably just sitting in your chair with a cup of tea. As Lao Tzu said, if you're depressed, you are living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. If you're at peace, you're living in the present. And here is how to cast the spell to live in the present. Name 5 things you can see. A flicker of candle, unfinished homework, the curve of the mug, a half of a scarf, forgotten sock. Yes, Dobby would approve. Then touch 4 things around you. Run your hands over the fabric of your robe, the cool glass of the window, the warmth of your skin, or the leather of your journal. Then close your eyes and name 3 things you can hear. Footsteps down the corridor, an owl outside, or simply your own breath. Then smell 2 things, maybe a book or faint sweetness of pumpkin pasties. And then you have to notice 1 emotion. Where does it live inside you? Perhaps worry, slithering like a tiny snake coiled in your belly. Psychologists call this sensory grounding practice. Studies show it calms panic and quiets intrusive thoughts. Your brain can't plan a Dark Lord battle while also cataloging the real safe details around you. Now that we have calmed the anxious guard in our mind, we can finally meet our rational brain, the wise Ravenclaw professor, and ask him a few questions to gather the real evidence, not just the stories the anxious guard has been feeding us. First of all, name your anxiety and write down everything that's swirling in your mind, all fears. For example, I hate my job, I want to study something new, but I'm too old, I'll have no money, if I don't work, I'll starve, I'll fail. Heavy. Question number 2. Pick the single thought that feels heaviest, the one that makes your chest race the most. Example, if I leave this job to study, I'll have no money and I'll starve. Question number 3. Write evidence for and against the thought. Facts, maybe some past experience you had, realistic options. For example, evidence for: I have bills to pay, I'm a bit older than typical students, I will earn nothing, If I study full time. Now let's write down evidence against. I've learned new skills before. I'm capable. There are part-time options, online courses, savings I can use temporarily, and resources to get support. Question number 4. Notice if your mind is playing tricks like a mischievous poltergeist, turning ordinary thoughts into some anxious illusions. Are you under the influence of cognitive distortions? Don't get scared of this word, it's actually pretty simple. Here's the list of most common cognitive distortions. Please look at my blackboard. Filtering, focusing only on negative and ignoring the positive. Black and white thinking, everything is perfect or a disaster, no middle ground. Overgeneralization. One mistake becomes the rule for everything. Catastrophization. Imagining only the worst case scenario. Personalization. Blaming yourself for things beyond your control. Emotional reasoning. Treating feelings as facts. Not allowing yourself to be wrong. Looking at our example, we can see catastrophization, I'll star, imagining the absolute worst case scenario. Also, black and white thinking, if I leave my job, everything will fail. No middle ground considered. And filtering, ignoring the evidence that could make the situation manageable, for example, like savings or part-time options. Alright, these 4 and the rest of the questions I wrote on my magical blackboard. You can screenshot them and write answers one by one in your journal. Please don't skip this exercise. I know it doesn't sound impressive or something, but anxiety isn't about the pain in your body. I mean, it feels in your body, but actually it's something with your thoughts or mind, right? And we need to restructure our brain to feed it with some positive thoughts. When you finish writing, read your answers back as one story. These questions help your brain stop spinning in circles and start creating possibilities and a sense of safety. They are commonly used in CBT exercises like thought records and worry logs, and research shows that writing out alternative explanations can significantly reduce anxiety. I mean, I don't need research to understand that. I can tell you that this tool has been absolutely life-changing for me. My journal is my best friend when anxiety shows up. I don't know a better and more soothing technique. If you're curious about the power of journaling, just grab a time turner and check out my video where I show all my childhood diaries. And if your journals need a touch of magic, I have a beautiful sticker shop on Diagon Alley called Ozorowicz. You can enter it through Etsy portal. It's full of cozy stickers, perfect for beautiful journals. Now that we have calmed our anxious guard and talked to our Ravenclaw professor, are there any other questions? Yes, Luna? I know we have talked to the professor and calmed the guard. But what if some Nargles are hiding our sense of safety? How do we make sure we don't lose ourselves while the guard is asleep and the professor is busy? Excellent point, Luna. 10 points to Ravenclaw. That's exactly why we need a safety caution spell. And here is how it works. As a child, some kids might have a parent notice their worry about an exam, for example, and say, "I see you're worried. Why are you worried, my little baby?" And parents would listen, help make a plan, and reassure you. Even if the worst happens, you're still loved and safe. It's just an exam, it doesn't change how smart you are. I see your sad faces. Many of us didn't get that kind of support and comfort. I didn't, but I learned to give it to myself as an adult. And here is how you do it. Find a quiet space so you don't feel embarrassed and hug yourself or place a hand on your heart. Then speak kindly to yourself, to your inner child. It's okay. You're doing your best. You're safe. Everything will be fine. You'll make a plan and take time to relax. It might feel strange at first, but this safety caution technique is actually deeply nurturing and builds your ability to handle stress over time. Do you have any other questions? Yes, Neville? How can I manage my anxious thoughts if I'm writing a hypogryph or busy in herbology class? This is actually a very good question. 10 points to Gryffindor. You can't just stop and open a journal. You have work to focus, right? You're planned. Or the hypogriff is moving and, well, there is no space for deep thinking. That's where the schedule your worry spell comes in. Open your calendar, this one is a bit silly, and set an alarm for example, 8 p.m. Worry and think about anxious thoughts. You can even specify what exactly triggers you so you don't forget. You're not forbidding yourself from thinking about it. You're just giving yourself calm, dedicated time to process it. And in the meantime, you can use breathing techniques and grounding practice. Any other questions? Yes, Draco. Can I go out? Yes, you can. Alright, since there are no other questions, let's move to the habits that actually helped me. Let's quickly look through preventative habits. I found that Muggle often suggests these things for anxiety. Listen to your favorite music, remove caffeine, movement and exercise, magnesium intake, please consult with Muggle doctor or Madame Pomfrey, therapy, take a break from screens. I'm sure you all know about that, so I will move to the not so obvious habits or tips I invented for myself. And they helped me a lot. First one is listen to ASMR. The world is really noisy these days, so I feel really calm when I turn on some ASMR music. I love rain sounds or train sounds or the rustling leaves. If you can go out and listen to the sounds of nature, it's even better. Second thing that is actually really popular these days is coloring book. This is absolutely calming. The colors, the sound of markers, and cute little images. I would also add puzzles, Lego, and Japanese crosswords to this list. And of course, reading books. I don't know if I have to explain why this works, it's so calming. Tip number 3, keep a worry list. Writing them down relocates them from my brain to paper, and your mind feels much lighter, and later you'll see that half of them never actually came true. Plan and prioritize. Anxiety loves juggling a million things at once. My trick is to write down everything I need to do in the morning and then pick the top 3 priorities. Anxiety often comes from overload, not weakness. Look at your planner. Is everything there truly serving you? Or are some things just habits or guilt you've been carrying? The funny thing, during the anxiety times, I was even stressed when I was playing Hogwarts Legacy. And then I realized I had planned my day off in my planner to read, to walk, to cook something sweet, to draw for fun, all on the same day, to relax. I mean, it would be much easier to focus only on Hogwarts Legacy and complete 10 quests. Do you know what I mean? And the last tip I have for you is don't listen at double speed. I used to rush through my muggle cooking or other house chores listening to audiobooks at double speed because I thought it would make me more productive, but it just left me more stressed. Our brains aren't built for constant multitasking and rushing. Now I only listen to audiobooks during some simple chores like washing the dishes, and I never listen to the audiobooks at double speed. Slowing down helps my nervous system relax and overall just makes my life a bit sweeter. And here is a bonus healing secret. Shh, don't tell the Ministry of Magic. Invite your fluffy friend, dog, cat, bunny, or just a soft plush toy. Place them onto your lap. Let them purr. It boosts happy hormones and just fills your heart with joy. The hardest part? Not squishing them too tight. Anxiety loves to whisper that we have to control everything, but honestly, we don't. I hope you can feel a little serenity for the things you can't change, a bit of courage for the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I hope your mind can feel light enough, especially as the holidays come near, so you can really enjoy the moment. For your homework, dear students, I want you to practice mind calming exercises, Petrificus totalus, Leviosa breathing, and grounding charm. Then find a cozy corner and move to the answering questions I gave you. Don't be scared to name the he who must not be named, the Voldemort. Seeing it on paper makes it feel less scary. If you still have energy, take a peek at my personal tips and choose whatever feels most appealing to you. Remember, anxiety is very common these days and nothing to be ashamed of. Even magical creatures get anxious. Hippogriffs, dragons, don't feel bad if you do too. Please share your own tips in the comments. That will help other witches and wizards and it will support my channel. If today's class warmed your heart even a little, tap like and subscribe. Class dismissed, dear students. Close your books, but keep your hearts open. And maybe keep a parent friend nearby. Good night.